I wanted a better background for my first ever YouTube video, but I'm not at my house. So this is the best I can do today. My most asked question is, how did I get access to my foster care records? So I'm going to tell you how, but also tell you some things about accessing your foster care records that no one else will tell you. And by no one else, I mean social services. And we're just going to do it in a nice, relaxing setting. Let me tell you the things no one tells you, and then I'll go into how you actually get the records. There is a statutory guideline of how long it takes to get your records from when you first request them. I think it's 40 days, or it might be they have to respond within 40 days. I should have looked before I started recording, but yeah. However long social services tell you that it will take to see your records, triple that time. Just triple it. You're not going to see, if they say 40 days, you are not going to see it within 40 days. When I requested mine, it took 11 months. 11 months. And I was only in care for a few years. Here's another thing they'll try to do. My PA told me that I would have to view them at the social services offices, that I'd have to sit in a room with them. And I was like, but I can't, I work full time. I work from home now, but my old job, where I was working at the time of me applying for these records, I worked in an office. I had to be in that office every day. I can't be taking time off once a week to go down to a social services office to view these files. So I complained, and I said, no, I don't want to read them in an office. I don't want to sit there and do that. It will be an emotional process. I don't want to sit in a room. I want to be, when I read them, I want to be in the comfort of my own home. And at first they were like, no, you have to come to the office. So I then made a complaint to the local government ombudsman. First I had to make the complaint to social services. First of all, the local government ombudsman, the LGO, they help you with, if you've made a complaint to the council and you feel like they didn't deal with your complaint satisfactorily, I'm not good at saying that word. If you feel like they didn't deal with your complaint in a good way, then you contact the LGO. So that's what I did. The worst part though about doing it is all these things take time and they take a lot of energy. Requesting for your records on its own takes up some energy, takes up some time. It's a long process. Complaining to the council takes time because as well, they'll always have a deadline, right? Social services will always say we have to reply within 30 days. They will make sure they do it on the 30th day. They will leave it as long as possible. And I know why they do it. It's in the hopes that you'll give up. I had all these issues when I sued them. I'll go into that another time. So I made the complaint to the LGO. The LGO, that took time to get their response, but they did conclude that I should get my records at home and that it's not fair that they're making me go to an office. So I got my records. I got my records from social services. They delivered them to me in these 2 big cardboard boxes, all in the wrong order. I would have the first piece of paper, because they're not in files, it's just single. It was around 1,600 pages, just stacked. And the top page would be from like 2010. The second page would be something from 2008. The next page, something from 2012. And the most annoying part, documents because they would print things double-sided. They didn't staple anything together. So there might be pages from like a psychologist report, or there might be minutes from meetings that had more than like 5 pages. But all those were jumbled up. They weren't together. They weren't stapled together. And looking at the bottom of the page to see simply, page 1 of 2, page 1 of 10. Because all the handwriting was sort of similar. Not handwriting, what am I talking about? Font. Because the font on these pages at the bottom where it says the page number are all the same, to this day I still have a stack of papers like that big where I've just had to leave them as like miscellaneous because I don't know where in my files they fit. Where was I going? Sorry, I have ADHD. I cannot focus. Wait. If you're happy to read them at an office with a social worker present, they might leave you alone in a room. Do that, that's fine, and you should be able to say to them, I want to bring a friend or a family member, whoever. If you really want them at home, fight for it. They do have to let you have them at home. It just will take longer and they will be difficult because they hope you'll give up asking. Don't. Ride it out. Here's something else they made me do which makes no sense to me. They Right, so these records are about me. They're not about, like, for example, my mum had involvement with social services when she was a child. My mum spent time in foster care. But the records I'm asking for are very much about my experience in foster care. So why did they make my mum sign something in order for me to get permission to see my records? They said to me, in order to get my records, and by they I mean social services, in order to get my records, she had to sign a piece of paper to say it was okay. Because apparently there was information about her in the records. Because she was involved with you, Slaney, so she needs to sign something. Foster carers were involved with me. They didn't have to sign anything. My sisters are mentioned in my foster care records. They didn't have to sign anything. I don't understand. Me and my mum to this day, we don't know why she had to sign, because again, like I said, she spent time in foster care, but it wasn't about her experience in foster care. It was just about me and why I was in foster care. And the woman who was dealing with my case, she was the manager of the leaving care team. So she asked my mum to sign this piece of paper. So my mum signed it, right? My mum had no problem signing it. About 7 weeks went by and I still hadn't heard anything. So I contacted this manager who was dealing with the case and I said, is there any update? And she responded to me saying, well, you never sent back the form, so we didn't think you wanted your files anymore. I had emailed her the form and I still had, keep your emails. Everything, so I cannot stress this enough. Every contact you have with social services, I don't care what it's in regards to, positive stuff, negative stuff. If you have it in writing, keep it forever. I still had the email where I had sent her the document attached to it. You know, I'd printed it, we'd signed it and then scanned it through email. I still had the email where I said, hi, please find attached my mum's signature for the form. And the leaving care manager didn't even say sorry. She was just like, oh yeah, I must have missed it. Do you know how important it is to access my files? They will redact information. The information they redact isn't as much as I thought it would be. They redact names, including like your own parents' names, or your siblings' names, or your foster carers' names, even though you probably will remember them. Well, there's some foster carers who I didn't actually, there's 2. I had 6 foster placements. There's like 2 foster carers I couldn't actually remember their names. But here's the thing, when they redact it, right, so they redact these names, but I swear every couple of pages, social services would miss it. So say I had a foster carer called Alison, that's a fake name. They would block out Alison's name for like 5 pages in a row and then forget. So I'd see the name anyway. They obviously block out emails. They block out, this is what I think's outrageous, they block out the social workers' names. So you as the child, of course they have copies still in their offices that have the social workers' names, but you as a child can't see who fucked up your case, basically. You can't see who is accountable for certain mistakes that may have happened when you were in care. And if you know my story, there was a lot when it came to me. So they block out the social workers' names, block out emails, block out phone numbers, they block out addresses. It's weird because they block out the foster carers' addresses, but what's weird, some of my foster carers, like say for example, I lived in Newell, I couldn't actually remember the road name that I lived in Newell, but I knew that if I got in a car, I could get there easily. Like I remembered the journey in my head. And I found it on Google Maps. I sometimes look at my old foster placements on Google Maps, just for nostalgic reasons, like it just brings back memories. And then like I remember certain journeys I'd walk, like to get from my foster placement to somewhere else. I'll like do the journey on Google Maps. Find it quite fun. So yeah, expect redactions, but I mean there shouldn't be anything redacted necessarily about you. It's more to do with names, which, you know, fine. Most of them I could remember anyway. What I didn't expect is how hard it is to read the records. And the reason I didn't think it would be hard is my social services first got involved with my family when I was 7. I didn't go into care until I was 15. But I remembered a lot. You know, I fully remember why I ended up in foster care, the events that led up to that moment. So I didn't think it would be hard for me to read the records, because in my head it's like, well, I know why I was in care. Like there's nothing I'll learn in these records. There won't be any information in these records that I don't already know. I was so wrong. It's almost sad. how wrong I was. They were literally like you will see, if you get your records, you will see emails between professionals, conversations that maybe foster carers and professionals had that you had no knowledge of. I've spoken about it on my TikTok before. There was a foster carer who thought I had an eating disorder and I didn't. No one spoke to me about it. And that was hard to read, because reading the way some of these professionals or foster carers would speak about me, it's like they didn't think, oh, this child we're talking about, this foster child that we're talking about, will read these one day. I think social workers are getting better at that kind of thing. They've been advised, like, remember, the kids can grow up and read these, so be careful what you say and how you talk about them. But certainly my records, some social workers, not all of them, I had a really nice social worker who always had my back. But some social workers, yeah, the way they would speak about me is not how any child should be spoken about. And it seemed very personal. I would advise getting your records sooner rather than later, because things go missing and it takes a long time to get them anyway. And you don't have to read them straight away. You could ask for them. Just do what I did and keep them under your bed. I requested my records when I was 22. I didn't get them until I was 23. And then I just kept them under my bed for 2 years because I didn't want to read them. I just wanted to know that I have them and can now read them whenever I want. And yeah, I didn't read them until I was 25. It took, like I said, 6 months to put them in the right order. And then I just read them at my own pace. I think it took me, I don't know, a year maybe to read them. I wasn't reading them every single day. I just read it at my own pace. And that is why I wanted them at home. I didn't want to have to go to an office and make an appointment and do it at this time on this day when they choose. I wanted full control of when I read this information about me. Yeah, I would advise get them as soon as possible. And if you're not ready to read them, that's okay. Don't read them. Just have them. And don't feel bad if you have them for like 10 years and don't feel ready. It's a very emotional process that no one, unless you've been in foster care, no one will ever understand it. No one will ever experience it. And that's crazy to think about. It is just, foster care is one of those things that only people who have been in foster care can relate to, and it's your trauma and you can deal with it however you want. And trust me, you won't just be potentially upset while reading your records, you will feel angry. But you need to know that's normal. It's so normal. And also, don't read it, you don't have to read all of it in one day. Well, I mean, it took 6 months to put them in the right order, first of all. But yeah, don't feel like you have to read it in one go. It's okay if you read it and think, oh, this is too much actually. You'll know when you're ready to read them. You'll just know. I wouldn't read them if you're sort of on the fence about it. Or maybe, yeah, just skim them. Just find, maybe there's only certain information you want. Maybe you don't care what happened in 2010, but you care about what happened in 2012, so just skip to there. The other thing you need to be prepared for, which is what I'm going through right now, you might find that records are missing. I swear to God, in my files, 2012, there's barely any documentation from the year 2012. But that was a really significant year for me. So I was pregnant. I found out I was pregnant in December, the month before. So 2012, my whole pregnancy was in 2012. I gave birth in 2012. I moved foster placement. I'd moved into my own flat to live independently. I went back to college after being out of education for 3 years. 2012 was a really significant, busy year for me. And there's just no record that 2012 ever happened for me. So I'm in the process of having to make another request for those records. And it's frustrating because you have to go through the whole process again. You can't just email the person dealing with your case and saying, I think these records are missing, can you give them to me? You have to make the whole request for them again. So on that point, let me tell you how to do it. If you have a PA or a social worker, speak to them. If you don't have a PA or a social worker or anyone, within the local authority, just contact the social services department. You can ring about it, but again, I would try and get something in writing. So it's a lot easier if you already have a social worker and a PA. You just say, I want to see my records. You have to be 18, by the way. You have to be 18. I want to see my records. You set it up. If you don't have a social worker, say the same thing to the social services department. And what it's called is a subject access request. And that's what it's called for anyone, you know, if you were trying to get information about yourself from the police or the doctors, that is a subject access request. It's just different on the department. They will then, it's either they give you a form to fill out, your name, your birthday. They might ask you, you know, what files do you want specifically? Just say all of them. They might ask, you know, what date from? Just say all of them, if that's what you want. I mean, if you actually don't want all of them, don't. But most of you, I'm assuming, want all of them. Just say, I want all of them. So yeah, it'll either be in a form, or they might just get you to put something in writing. They might just get you to say in an email, I want my foster care records. Please accept this as, you know, my formal request for them. So then a social worker, you know, they'll tell you how long it will take. Like I said, however many weeks they say, just triple it, quadruple it even. 5 times it. You will not get it when they say you will. And obviously the longer you are in care or the more information they have about you, it will probably take a lot longer because they have to redact it. I think now what they try to do, social services, is they try to send it to you electronically. I don't know if they gave me that option. Like, I feel like if they did, if they said, do you want it electronically or do you want it paper version? I would have said paper, but I'm not sure they actually even gave me the option to have it electronically, but you know, they might give you that option, so it's up to you what you prefer. So then you wait, and it really should be as simple as that. I'm not saying it will be as simple as that because social services can be difficult, but it should be as simple as that. They might ask for somebody's signature. I mean, I would really insist. It's weird that they ask my mum's, because what if me and my mum didn't have a relationship? We do have a relationship, but what if we didn't? What then? Are you just not going to give me my files? Are you going to take certain information out? Because seriously, there wasn't really any information about my mum. I don't know. Like, it's weird. It's very weird. But yeah, if you have any more questions, just ask me in the comments. I'll try to reply. And just, yeah, remember the points I made. I feel like I did this in a really bad order, but it is what it is. Hope you enjoyed my first ever video. I plan to make many more. Mwah!